Hey friends, kind of an emergency update here with our friend Bix Weir from RoadToRoota.com. I have Bix on the line right now. He's been giving us feverish updates today about the new silver pricing mechanism. I guess we'll call it the new silver fix. Bix, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Well, I'm okay, man. I do appreciate your updates. We posted both of them on Friday. The first one, is there any physical silver exchanged in the new silver fix? Bix, what do you make of what we're seeing so far today?
Well, it's interesting that I think the awakening of people as to what the silver fix really is, and that it really has nothing to do with silver and never did. It's simply a bunch of bankers sitting around deciding what number they want to declare each day. It's really coming to light now with this latest rendition of the silver fix.
Well, it wasn't that long ago, Bix, that you and I spoke, and we did a little video called The Criminal Conspiracy to Suppress the Prices of Gold and Silver. And, that's what it is. It's a criminal conspiracy. Let's talk a little bit about this new silver fix. You wrote today that this new silver fix price is being determined by 0.08% of LBMA transfers. Do you want to explain that for people?
Sure. People look at the silver fix, and now it's called the London silver price, and think, they think all these volumes of silver are traded back and forth because the LBMA claims they transfer over 100 billion ounces every year of silver. When in actuality, it's not true. It used to be three bankers sitting around saying, "Hey, Joe, how about $20 for the price of silver today?" And they giggle and tell their friends before they told the world. Now it's not much different, but the difference is people are waking up to it. The new silver fix, which is some kind of algorithm auction-based thing that they've been touting, the problem is right now is they've said how many silver ounces were traded today, or at least offered. Of course, nothing is actually traded, but they were saying that 325,000 ounces is what determined what the silver fix price was for today, the first day. Now that number is just ridiculous, given that the average traded on the LBMA, the average amount of ounces transferred is 140 million. So the difference between 325,000 setting the price and the net average trades for the LBMA, according to their data, is 140 million ounces, and the gross number is three times that, 420 million ounces. It's insane what is happening right now. But the best thing is that people are starting to figure out, hey, this silver fix means absolutely nothing.
Well, and it is absurd. And you wrote today that, okay, so it was only the first day of the joke of a benchmark, the London silver price, but already the data is trickling out. I find it fascinating, and you just noted the number. They're saying that volume stood at 525,000 ounces on the sell side and 325,000 ounces on the buy side. Well, of course, Bix. Why would it be anything other than almost twice as much silver being sold into the market than bought? You knew this is the way it was going to go. And to your point, that's just a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the paper silver they used to be trading daily.
True, but even if you take it farther, those numbers that they announced, the volumes of sell and the volumes on the buy side, those aren't actual transactions.
Right.
There is nothing in this new system that has any requirement for one party to sell to another party and to deliver physical silver. Nothing. It's just it's a dog and pony show for the world. But the real interesting thing is that price is taken and transmitted across the world that this is the price of silver. So every mom and pop silver shop in the world is selling silver at $20 an ounce because of this system, because of these 325,000 ounces that were supposedly bid for in this auction. The whole world is trading at that price. Even the U.S. Mint had announced the other day that they're going to use this London silver price to price their silver. So the con goes on, and it's embarrassing that people believe that this number means anything other than what the bankers want it to be.
Yeah, and let's share the punchline to the joke, okay? Everybody needs to understand, as our friends at Goldcore were reporting today, there are only 3 participants to begin with in this new silver fix. And who are they? Are they honest brokers in the financial world? No, it's HSBC, maybe the number one criminal bank on planet Earth, Scotia Makata, who you and I both know from Harvey Organ's research, probably has empty vaults of their own, and Mitsui. I guess that's what bank is that? Do you know?
Oh, it's Japanese. Yeah, the Japanese do a lot of hedging with it because they were big into electronics and they bought all these silver mines in South America. They're just as criminal as the rest of them.
Yeah, this is very much the definition of the old boss is the same as the new boss. If they're going to tell us with a straight face that this is a new, honest mechanism for the pricing of silver, but the three participants setting the price are HSBC, Scotia Makata, and Mitsui. I mean, just HSBC alone in that three guarantees you a level of criminality that cannot be denied because that is a criminal bank. They run drugs. Help people understand when I say that HSBC is a criminal bank. Can you help them understand that? I mean, they were even involved in the Opium Wars, weren't they?
You have to go back to the 1800s. HSBC is what Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. You got to go back and do your research on the Opium Wars, and it all comes from the Bank of England and the Rothschilds, and you can follow the trail, and it's fairly easy to do these days. But yes, they're criminal, and all the large banks that deal in silver are criminal, and this is no different. The exciting thing to me is that one, all the outstanding derivative contracts for silver are now up in the air because there's no longer that term silver fix. Now it's the London silver price. So all those hundreds of billions in silver derivative contracts that mature after today will either go into litigation or they got to settle on that they're going to use the London silver price. Now, if you were a loser, would you use the London silver price and say, "Oh yeah, here's $20 million that I lost on this contract"? No, you'll take it to court and it'll get hung up, and you can claim a force majeure and walk away most likely at some point. So, the question is, where do we go from here? Now that the world knows that this London silver price is nothing more than the same thing it was in the silver fix, will we ever have a real exchange where physical silver is exchanged for cash or whatever? I don't know. There's no physical silver market in the world right now, and there never has been. It's always been the COMEX, futures and options, which are silver derivatives, and the LBMA that three people sit around and tell you the price, and they claim to trade 100 or transfer 100 billion ounces a year. It's ridiculous. We need a real silver market one of these days.
Yeah, and just one further word on HSBC. It's been a long time since I've revisited this, so correct me if I'm wrong, Bix, but isn't it HSBC that runs the gold ETF, and I think it's JP Morgan that is in charge of the silver ETF?
Yeah, they have duties. For silver, JP Morgan is the custodian.
Yes.
Now, that's like putting a mouse in charge of watching the cheese. If you ask me, they're also the largest silver derivative player, meaning that JP Morgan has the largest amount of silver derivative contracts that are up in the air right now. So yes, all the dots connect, and the conspiracy goes on. Now, how much longer? Well, let's see over the next month or two what happens to the derivative contracts in silver, and let's see if people are going to write new derivative contracts based on this London silver price.
Well, it's just stunning. I just want to read a little bit more from this executive summary of the LBMA silver price here, which Goldcore rightly says is still not transparent. Let's just review a couple of these. As I noted, only three participants to begin with, HSBC, Scotia Makata, and Mitsui. Goes on to say LBMA owns the intellectual property rights of the London silver price and will accredit market participants. I guess so you need to be accredited and approved by LBMA to be involved in the setting of the price. Silver market nervous as full list of participants is still unknown. Traders nervous since the new system platform looks unwieldy and unintuitive. Banks offer users of silver benchmark rushing through legal compliance and IT changes. LBMA consultation in the last 3 months has not been transparent. I mean, the list goes on and on and on for the reasons for people not to trust this, especially worldwide when we know contracts on the Shanghai exchange are being settled in physical. I mean, this is just nonsense, Bix.
Well, it is, but there's a deeper thing going on, and it has to do with what we're talking about right now. This was all set up. It was set up for failure. There is nothing about this that was not planned and orchestrated by the holders of the silver shorts on the derivative side. They wanted chaos. They wanted a new system that would fail. They wanted this to happen because it's the only way they can get out of their problem, and their problem being the continued manipulation of silver. So they love it that we're talking about this stuff because it's gonna throw doubt into the silver market again, and that's what they need. In order to get out of their position, they need the whole silver market to go sideways, and that's what they're doing right now. And over the next couple months, it'll get worse and worse and worse. And it's not that we're playing into their hand. We want the system to crash as well. The big question for us is what's going to happen after the crash. And the very first interview I did with you, we talked about this. What is going to happen after the crash? Will we turn to these banksters and the Obama and our government, or will we finally stand up and say, we're going to take back our markets, we're going to take back our government? So we are at that point where the bankers are forcing this upon the silver market to crash it, probably so they can get out of their current position. But rest assured, it's going to get uglier and uglier and uglier because they don't want it to work smoothly. They don't want it to work anymore because they need to get out of this situation.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about how this thing is functioning right now. You wrote in your piece today, is there any physical silver exchanged in the new silver fix? I want to go through this a little bit. You took a snippet from Monday Morning, and I want to read some of this for folks because Bix, this was originally pitched as an auction, an electronic auction that would be fair and transparent and would set the price of silver daily. That's how it was pitched. This was pitched as an auction, Bix, and what are they doing? Let's just describe this. They wrote here in Monday Morning, members will process buy and sell volumes at the initial seed price for 30 seconds. If after that auction buy and sell volumes are in tolerance, that is, if they are within 300,000 ounces of each other, a new price will be set. If not, the auction will restart at a new price determined by an electronic algorithm. Auctions will continue to be reset until the buy and sell orders are properly balanced at the prevailing price. And your response to that is, does anybody even know what the hell they just described? You write, it's only the banksters bidding against the banksters again on a phantom electronic market. I can only conclude that you're right. They wanted this to fail. Bix, the bottom line is this thing is not functioning anywhere near the way they promised it, anywhere near the way they sold it. I don't even know that it's functioning at all. It's a joke.
It is a joke, and there's no silver being bought and sold here. The auction is for prices and volumes. No physical silver is exchanging hands. There's no delivery mechanism. There's nothing, and it's exactly like the silver fix. The three guys sitting around the room deciding the price. But it is very important because people around the world are going to use this price to sell real silver, on the day-to-day retail basis, even the U.S. Mint. So it is important, but it is not a real price or fair market value for physical silver that's being traded.
Yeah, and when you say there is no mechanism for delivery, there's no mechanism for the silver to physically be traded. You wrote about this the other day. Can you imagine truckloads every day of hundreds of millions of ounces of silver driving around? Flush that out for us. Why do you say that there's no mechanism for this to be an actual physical market?
They're not auctioning silver. That's the amazing thing. They're auctioning prices. They say it themselves. We put together an exchange that auctions prices, the price of silver, and quantities of silver. There's no silver being traded. There's no silver being delivered. There's no money changing hands. If there is, why don't they make it so that we can see that? Show us the amount of money paid from someone, what inventory it came out of, what warehouse it was removed from, where it went. If you want to be transparent about a true price of physical silver, then show us the goods, and you'll find that they won't and they can't, because the LBMA claims to transfer over 100 billion ounces of silver every year, and it's a complete lie. It is a total and complete lie that I talk about all the time. And why don't we take it right back to the comics as well? They're over 60 billion ounces per year, according to their average daily trades. There is not that kind of silver available in the world and never has been. So the con is breaking apart, and hopefully more and more people will look at this and say, well, what does this London silver price mean? It's just a couple banks determining the price again.
Well, it is an amazing thing, Bix. We know that silver is truly a precious, precious metal. We've talked about that time and time again. I watch Game of Thrones. Have you ever seen that show?
I have.
Yeah, one of the characters in that, and it escapes me which character said that, it may have been one of the kings, was talking about owning his more than his weight, his body weight in silver, in physical silver, and it made him a very wealthy man. And I thought, wow, what a funny statement, because it's so true, as Chris Duane and you and others have noted. It used to be, I think, a tenth of an ounce of physical silver was the pay for a hard day's labor back in the times of ancient Rome. And, in that show, certainly a fictional show, but again, just a sliver of history, having your body weight in physical silver made you a very, very wealthy man. Well, sure, at a tenth of an ounce, for a hard day's physical labor, imagine what 220 pounds or 200 pounds or 250 pounds of physical silver was once worth. And maybe once again, maybe someday here in the future, Bix, once all of this fraud collapses, 250 pounds of physical silver will be worth a hell of a lot and make you a wealthy man just like it did then.
Well, but times have changed. Over the last 80 years, we've consumed all the above ground silver in electronics and every iPhone and solar panels. So yeah, having probably the weight of your left toe will make you a wealthy man when the conspiracy of rigging the price lower stops.
Yeah, and I just want to flush that out for people. Let's just imagine that, let's say the average guy weighs 200 pounds. I don't weigh quite that much, but let's say it's 200 pounds. So Bix, at 200 pounds of silver times, 16 ounces in a pound, that's 3,200 ounces. How long would it take a person to earn 3,200 ounces at a tenth of an ounce a day? 3,200 ounces, that would be 3,200 days times 10, right? 3,200 times 10. So to become a wealthy man back in ancient times would take you 32,000 days? I think I have that right. The point being that if people used to be paid a tenth of an ounce of physical silver for a hard day's labor, it would be very, very difficult in a lifetime to accumulate 200 pounds of physical silver, especially when you have to spend a little every day to live.
The higher math in silver has always boggled my mind, both from the side of the LBMA and the COMEX claiming to sell hundreds of billion ounces every year, to silver being $20 an ounce when nobody can find hardly any of it. If everybody were going to go out and buy $10 worth of silver today, everybody in the world, there would be no silver left in the world. It's amazingly in short supply, and people need to get that around their heads when they're thinking about price, is that the price has been rigged for so long, nobody knows what the price of silver is anymore. So, as times change, as the manipulation ends, it'll become more and more aware. People will become more and more aware that the price has been rigged for so long, and it has so much built up coiled spring type momentum to go forward once this silver price rigging ends, when and if it ends, and it surely hasn't ended with the introduction of the London silver price.
Yeah, you're right. And the bottom line, you guys, is that we know that there is a massive scheme. Well, of course, we all know that. We're preaching to the choir, essentially. But for anybody to whom this information is new, this is a scheme. What they're doing with this new London silver price, this new silver fix, this electronic fix, it is just another chapter in the scheme, because they cannot let this scheme, this Ponzi scheme, unravel. That's why Bloomberg reports that the annual silver market is $5 trillion a year, which dwarfs the GDP of Germany. It's absurd. It can't possibly be true. It's not a $5 trillion market in the physical sense, only in the paper sense, and they need this Ponzi to continue. They cannot let it unravel. They cannot let it collapse. They cannot let the derivatives bomb blow up. And for that purpose, they've rolled out this new scheme, and that it's a scheme.
I've always said that you can't run an unbacked fiat monetary system for very long without controlling the price of commodities, especially gold and silver and oil. If you try to run that type of system, as soon as people figure it out that it's an unbacked system, they're going to go out and buy gold and silver and oil, obviously, because it's the largest commodity bought and sold. But the key here is understanding that without the price rigging, we would have been back on the gold standard back in the 70s. But with the introduction of computers in the early 70s and the rigging programs that were in place then and that have been in place ever since, they can continue this game until one day everything falls apart, and I think we're very close to getting to that day.
Yeah, and I do too. Well, very well said. Thanks so much for joining us on short notice. We do appreciate it, my friend.
Call me anytime. I'm ready to talk about silver, let me tell you.
All right. And you guys can check out Bix's work at roadtoruta.com. We do try to post his updates every time he sends out a new important one, like the 2 he sent on Friday. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening, and I hope you have a terrific weekend. Check us out at sgtreport.com and leave us your comments. We do appreciate them. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.